think this is as easy as it is. Kind of watch this. I probably could have done this on another screen, but it's just us. If we do that, there we go. I'm going to move that tab over to another screen. But all right, great. We're live and going. Okay. All right, and we'll be able to clip that out later. Okay.
Quickly. Yes, welcome everyone. And we are the Knox County Planning Alliance. We're an association of citizens and organizations who advocate for intentional anticipated growth with coordinated infrastructure through long-term comprehensive planning, conservation concepts, and responsible land use and development practices. So today we're just going to do a review of the preliminary agenda. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Kim. We've also got a couple of our Board of Advocates and steering committee members on as well. And this is open to anybody that might want to join. We hope that later on, as this gets some traction, that we have invite neighborhoods and developers and commissioners and all sorts of folks to come join us.
That's right. And this is just a way to show what we do on a monthly basis when the preliminary agenda is released. We're just going to kind of walk you through the things that we look for, things that we hope will be considered as the process moves forward, things that citizens ask. Again, this is from a citizen perspective only. We are not land use professionals. We are not employed by any entity at all. We are a group of citizen volunteers. And so we just ask the questions from a citizen perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah. And really with that, I think we should dive right into it. The April Planning Commission agenda is a very lengthy one. And what we're doing is we're sharing out a perspective, and this is work that we already do. We're simply going to share out what it is that we look at and kind of and broadcast that out. So,
right. Kevin, I think it's first important to let everyone know what is the difference between the preliminary agenda and the final agenda. Give us some points on what is provided or not provided at the state and then the final agenda.
Absolutely. So the preliminary agenda comes out about 3 weeks before the Planning Commission meeting, and it gives there's two things that come out with it. First is a PDF document that is the actual preliminary agenda. The second thing that you can access is the Maps tab on the Planning Commission agenda site. Maps actually gives you a case map that shows everything that's happening in the county, and that it gives us a good overview of what's coming up in the next 3 weeks. That we get some information that allows us to analyze and determine what we need to focus on. So often we look first at the map to see if there are any really large parcels or things that that kind of stand out. There certainly are on this one. And then we'll also go line by line through the preliminary agenda. The preliminary agenda contains a fair amount of information. The first several, the agenda is set up. There's some essentially housekeeping items at the beginning. Then they have sections for streets, names, and stuff, and if there's any major reports that are coming in. And then they jump right into rezonings and plan amendments. What we get with the preliminary agenda, I'll just pull up the very first one that's on here. We get the search screen, and you drill into any of there's actually 3 applications: a sector plan, a rezoning, and a 1-year plan. I'll just jump into one of them, but the most important thing is we really get a case file, an initial case file, and a map. The case file in this case. This is a prior one, so this actually shows us a full one. Let's find one that is brand new for August, which would be like this one here. 4 will indicate that that's coming from April. So this one, the case file is simply they'll give us a map that shows the zoning, and they'll show us the application itself, but we don't have a staff report. That's one thing that's not part of the final the preliminary agenda. We have to wait till the final agenda is released before the staff reports are available.
And also, I think it's important to point out that there may not be a slope analysis on the preliminary agenda if that comes into play, and also possibly a traffic impact letter. This may be something that a citizen would have to actually contact the planning office and request. And I think it's important too, all of this information is on the Knox County Planning Commission website and available to all citizens. And we encourage you to get on their mailing list so that you are alerted when the preliminary agenda is released.
Yep. So preliminary agenda basically has just the facts. The final agenda, and with the staff recommendation and the full case analysis, I'll show you what that looks like. The final agenda then has a report that has that summarizes all the information in a nice manner, so we can tell quickly what they're asking for. More importantly, it's got the staff recommendation and comments, which kind of provide additional information. Then Kim, as you said, they'll a lot of times they may not show the traffic letter or anything. That may not be part of the package that was presented. There's a lot of work that goes in. If you look at this one from this case file that we're just looking at, this application was submitted back on February the 10th. So people get there, it takes a while for things to apply, and there's deadlines and for public notice and listing and everything. So it takes a while. So the staff will work a lot with the applicant between when they submit the application and then the final agenda, which the final agenda comes out Friday before the following Thursday's planning meeting, commission
Right.
meeting.
So Kevin, you mentioned as far as public notification. Explain to everyone from the time that an applicant completes an application, go through the timeline of when the public is noticed, who is noticed, and just kind of run people through that, please.
Certainly. So actually caught me off foot. I don't remember the exact public notification, but the general piece is there's a deadline for having they've actually got deadlines published on their website that provide the various deadlines to come in for an application. The public generally starts to get noticed through various ways. The first big one is the preliminary agenda that comes out again 3 weeks before the Planning Commission meeting. There's also the Planning Commission office will send out postcards to adjacent property owners. I can't remember I think it's within 500 feet of the affected parcel. If you're an owner, they'll send a postcard to your tax record ID or tax record address. Then the applicant is also supposed to place signs on the property, and I believe those go up about 3 to 4 weeks before the Planning Commission meeting. There's also notice published in the newspaper. The Planning Commission exceeds the state's requirements to publish notice, but that usually happens between 3 and 2 weeks.
Right.
But by far the best way to get informed is is to get on the Planning Commission mailing list and get called when or get an email when the preliminary agenda comes out.
Right. So state law requires a 12-day notice of the hearing. Yep. And to post signs on property. So 10 to 12 days is the state law.
Yep. Yes. All right.
All right. Well, let's dig into this.
Okay. Well, so I'm going to close up some tabs here to clean up my screen. So really the first thing that happens is we get the preliminary agenda. We open up the very long PDF that comes out, and we look at the different sections. And what I've done, this is a process that we at KCPA go through just about every time, is we'll go in and we'll review item by item, open up the details and look to see, is this of interest? And if it is, then we'll note it down in a document that we share. We're actually going to start sharing that document out publicly on our website and Facebook page, along with this video, to try and give the public a little bit more information as well. So So we've taken the time to initially go through and identify what we think are the matters that will either have significant community interest because it's a lot, it's a big development or it's a significant zoning change, or it could be controversial or it's unusual. If it raises a flag and we're like, well, that's interesting, we'll flag it to review.
Right. And two, we do use kind of a land use planning review checklist just as a guide, and that can be found on our website as well, kcpa.us. And it just gives you kind of things to consider as you look at these items from a citizen perspective.
Yep, absolutely. So I've gone through and I'm going to share out a little bit of the screen and we'll jump back and forth. But this is what I do: is I put the agenda item number, the case with a link to the case, and a little bit of the information. So really looking at the, what are the facts around this. We'll pop in and we'll look at it. So this first one is item number 7. We scroll down to what that looks like. So you get this information. This is what the preliminary agenda says. It tells us, where it is. It's in the commission, means it's county property. If it's council, that is city council. So this is in County Commission District 6, rezoning from agricultural to planned residential. If we, from that point, we'll then pull up the details that that you can see from the from this. And I need to do one thing so that I stop the bar from coming down on me all the time.
And also the case file numbers come from, it's the month of the year, and then the order, and then usually the date and what kind of application request it is.
Yes. Yep. Yep. So this one is March 3B would mean it's the second one they received, 2021 RZ for rezoning. One trick is this is a case. It takes you to a case search page, which has some of that information, but for really seeing everything, I'm going to click on the actual link. This takes us to the actual rezoning file that they publish, and it gives lots of great information here. You've got the name of the staff person and an email address. So Ms. Albertson is the staff person that will be working on this case. Gives you the history. Kind of helpful to see it was voted to be postponed in March. The address, county commission, the size, it's 7.4 acres, Northwest County. It's currently on there. So this is what they already know, which is great. And then, so we then went in, we opened the case file, which will open up, as well as clicked the map button, because there's two things here. So the case file, this is a prior meeting, so they put the case file together. In this case, the staff has recommended approving 2 and a little bit more dwelling units per acre. With the sector plan, that is their recommendation. The applicant had requested 5 units per acre, so the staff is calling out for a little bit less, and says something about the slope analysis. And here, this is easier for us to look at. We can see the map. One of the reasons that I flagged this is it's a long, kind of more narrow lot, so it's 7.6 acres, but it's narrow, so that's a little more difficult usually for the layout to happen. The other reason that I flagged this is that's you have some subdivisions in the area, but it's adjacent. This house directly next to it is a much larger lot, and it's only a single family residence. And same thing, you've got a large lot next to it. So
that planning they consider is, does this align with existing development? Yep.
I believe that when we went through here, this is what really drove the planning staff's recommendation was the 2.1. They did a slope analysis, and this is what that looks like. We have a hillside and ridgetop plan, which gives us in the county, it's a guiding document. In the city, it's a binding document. In the county, though, they run the analysis and kind of tells them, how much housing should be, how many units and lots should be supported on this. And when they ran it through their property or through their analysis, they ran it through with the recommended density. This is interesting to point out. They've recommended, staff says, Here they actually would have recommended 4 units per acre instead of 5. I'll have to go see if they have anything in their recommendation, but they were thinking 4, and then they ran it through the slope analysis, and it looked for how much is no slope and some slope and more, and it basically said that they should really go for about 2.16 units per acre. And if you multiply that out by the number of acres, that'll give you the total number of units. So that would give them 15.3 units. So that's what staff is really driven by here.
So this piece of property, it looks like this with the slope and the topography, that anything that's developed on this property would be kind of on higher ground. And so that would cause us to ask questions about possibly light trespassing or light noise, things that would affect those neighbors on the lower ground.
Yes. Yep. And there's in their staff report, they provide a lot of other information here, context, aerials, and then they provide the actual application. I think that's most, and then they actually show what the sign posting agreement is. So there should be a sign out. It's 15 days before the Planning Commission meeting. So a lot of that.
Can I just add something there? That's a really important fact. What I don't know who was just speaking in terms of the lighting, because I got to tell you that's what I'm dealing with right now with ALV because of the topography difference. So the condition that was given for my lighting is irrelevant to me because downcast shielded lighting, since they're above me, lights down directly on me. So yeah, that's a really important issue to be addressed.
Yeah. Yep.
In something like this where light and noise is a concern, it may be something we ask for things to be considered, including buffers and possibly screening and vegetation and that sort of thing that would help diffuse some of those concerns.
Yep. So I'm going to very quickly look at, this is the map. There are different layers available on the map. And as an example, you can, even without seeing the staff report, you can pull up the hillside and ridge side protection areas and get an idea. And that's a layer that really takes a lot of time to load up on the map, unfortunately. So I apologize. It's not my computer. It is just a very complicated layer for the system to render. But that's helpful. We can see the same thing that's available to you for any parcel anywhere in the county. I was going to ask so we've identified a few issues, and one thing that we kind of like to do in KCPA is let neighbors know. It looks like this is off of Carnes Valley Drive. Trying to zoom out and get a little bit more perspective. It's Carnes Valley Drive and Emory Road area, northwest. So we probably want to, just see if there's a neighborhood in this area that that need to be kind of notified. Also, really interesting is this neighborhood is getting some development this month. There's a rezoning, there's a use on review right across the street. And then there's another one down here. So that's why this map is really important, is to be able to see what's happening. So we should make an effort, if somebody would take a note to do this, we should do an effort to reach out if we know of any neighborhood groups in this area, to let them know that there's several items on the agenda this month for them.
And that's something we encourage, as well as planning staff and also planning commission, is we encourage applicants and citizens to engage prior to coming before planning commission. And it's always just a good show of a good, action to do that, to really connect. And a lot of times you can talk these things through with the applicant and find common ground before you even go into the planning process.
All right, so we've gotten through our first item. There's a lot on the agenda. So shall we run on to the next one? Yep, so this one, number 8, we know it was postponed last month. This one has already generated very significant community interest, I'm going to bring up the file on this and go right into the map, I think. But there is this one is off of Bexhill Drive, and I believe that's North Shore there. A couple of our members have been very involved on this. I'm sorry, Ebenezer Road. It's kind of up the street just a little bit from Bluegrass Elementary. The brief history, really in this case, I just want to overview, what we know of the history. There's a very, very active community that's, I think there's a meeting coming up this weekend. There's a lot of conversations happening. So the good news is this one is well understood and people have been notified. So there's not a lot for us to look at. We did some preliminary, look at it, but this one, the rezoning, or there was a subdivision, off of Bexhill Drive here. The subdivision was developed a number of years ago, and they left a portion in the front of the property zoned as planned commercial, but it's been essentially vacant land. The neighborhood has been using it as a ball field, playground for sports fields for a while, informally, and it has been kept up. But but it's this lone parcel of planned commercial in a sea of residential here. The sector plan, which is kind of says what should happen here, calls for this to be low density residential, and so in this case, the rezoning has gone up, and since it is it's completely surrounded by residential uses. This has the attention of a lot of residents there.
Right. I think we need to note the staff recommended denial of the sector plan and the rezoning request.
Yes.
Why you think that is?
Yeah, well, I'll actually pull up their denial. So they do not believe that the main reason is it's a plan amendment and a rezoning, and they believe that changing the plan. So you have to change the plan first to allow. Or the request is for neighborhood commercial (CN), and that's not an allowed zoning underneath the current existing low density residential plan. So they would have to get a plan amendment to a mixed use neighborhood center, and then and then that would allow them to then proceed with the second item, which is rezoning to neighborhood commercial. In this case, they've really noted out that there's no changes in the area to change the land use plan from low density residential, no roads. And they did say that it's been zoned planned commercial since 1976. So that's one of the things that is also here is the zoning. The sector plans get updated every 5 to 10 years. The zoning though doesn't necessarily get updated, so it's been that way since 1976.
What is the year on this sector plan?
I do not know. It says they don't have the date of the sector plan on here. I believe all of them have been updated in the last 10 years.
And it's been recently updated. Really, we should encourage adherence to the sector plan. If the sector plan hasn't been looked at in more than the recommended review times, that may be something that we bring up another conversation is, hey, it's time to take a look at this sector plan and update it so that it can align more with the vision of the community and also with the market trends.
Yes. Yep. All right. And I think that's most of what we need on this one. There's not much for us to do in this particular case. It is owned by Home Federal Bank. Currently, they do have an attorney, Ben Mullins, that's representing them. And there's a number of meetings. So there is an online petition there and a lot of comments that have been submitted. So
good citizen engagement on that one.
Yes. Yep. So that one is well in hand, at least in terms of being engaged. Mm-hmm. It is a busy month. The next one is coming up is Ball Homes. This is on Campbell Station Road, rezoning 60 acres from agricultural to planned residential at up to 5 dwelling units an acre. And the very first thing, besides a lot of other things, but the very first thing that came up to us is that the county has several different growth plan areas. Planned growth area allows planned residential at up to 5 dwelling units an acre, but this is located in the rural area, which is limited to 3 dwelling units an acre if they have septic and meet some other conditions. So the first thing is they requested 5, but the growth plan and the general plan limit it to 3.
And this sector plan is fairly up to date. And so another thing that we might look at too is encouraging adherence to the sector plan, and then also any prior cases that have come before Planning Commission that might have set a precedent. And we have that in place. There was one just recently that I think we should point out that was actually, they adhered to the sector plan recommendation. And so they really have set a precedent. That was also a large parcel, 62 acres. It was back in November with Urban Engineering. And, that applicant even provided a preliminary concept plan. And they proposed low density at 3.15 and the staff approved 1.93 based on the sector plan and slopes. And so it also referenced, there was a recent Hardin Valley mobility plan. I think it's important that those things come into play. And so these are things that we hope the Planning Commission will consider, looking at the precedent that's already been set with this type of request. And also the conditions are so similar to a recent decision that came out of that body.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Here's that one precedent from November of 1.93 acres.
And something this is fairly close to the elementary school. So it's something that we want to look at. Does this fall within the parental responsibility zone?
I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the layers in the KGIS case mapping system is the parental responsibility zone. So we can look here. I'll open it up. So on layers, if you can look in the light blue is the elementary intermediate school. So this area falls in where there's supposed to be sidewalks provided, and the schools don't provide transportation to the students to get there.
Right.
And that's it's kind of interesting. This is going to be a little bit on the edge for the elementary school. If we zoom in, you can, I'm going to take the actual parcel ID off, but you can see the houses in the front will be just like this one next door to it. The houses on the front portion will be in the elementary school parental responsibility zone. And then, a little bit farther back, you'll still have to have, the Hardin Valley Academy will be included in that. And then I think that's it for the, you don't have the high school there as well, correct? It's just, just Hardin Valley. Oh, wait, no, Hardin Valley High School is over there, correct? Is that right?
All 3 schools are there.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, they're kind of on a campus feel. So yes, that would come into play as well.
Yeah, so
they're asking for more than 150 lots. And so that also, we need to look at, okay, there's a requirement for a second entrance to this parcel. And I think their transportation impact letter suggested that if that is not possible due to the layout of this parcel, that they would consider an alternate, which is a boulevard entrance. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on.
Yep. Yes. Yep. So this one, the staff report was out just to postpone. They don't have all of the information. They don't have the slope analysis recommendation. So, I'm sorry, they do have a slope analysis on the staff report. Theirs is actually recommending a density of 2 units an acre. And with the hillside ridgetop, it comes out to be 1.52 units. Once you apply the slope analysis to it. So staff, their recommendation should come out to be 93 units or 1.52 units. But there's really a lot going on with this one. I know Kim has made this one again. This one is a kind of a big flag for us. So we've made sure we've got lots of community notification going on and awareness of it, and hopefully engaging planning staff, the developer, the community on it. All right, moving on. Go ahead.
I think should point out here, if you would like to submit a public comment, how you do that if you'd like to request to speak. It's all right here, and it directly links you to the agenda item so that planning commissioners and decision makers can actually see the public comments in relation to the agenda item.
Yep.
And this is the preferred means of communication. So we encourage everyone to use this resource.
Yep. So you can click submit your comments to submit comments. And then if you click the purple link there, you can see all the public comments that have been submitted. Some of them have attachments, some of them are just written out as text. So there's a wealth of information on that case file.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Right. And in this situation, the community has connected with the applicant, and we are awaiting the applicant. He is trying to get some sort of preliminary plan to present to the citizens there, but there has been communication that the applicant has been willing to speak with citizens and to hear their concerns. And so that's always a really good thing, is when you can actually connect prior to and talk about the concerns of the community and also the vision that the community has, and just citizen perspective and things to consider.
All right. Well, I didn't flag item number 10. I actually don't remember which item that is. Let's use that very quickly as just an example of something that's if it didn't raise home. Oh, that's right. This one here is request to go from rezoning from agricultural to low density residential. It's for a single parcel. That's going to be didn't look at it. It's a low impact item, I would say. We'll bring up the case file very briefly. So it's a single house. They want to go from ag to RA in that portion.
Right, and they want to build 2 residential dwellings.
Yeah. Yep. So that one just didn't have wasn't something that rose to the level of that really planned to track this month. The next one is on Old Clinton Pike. It's it's rezoning 10 acres from RB. That's a medium density residential. So changing that from medium density to planned residential up to 5 dwelling units a acre. It is in the planned growth area, and a little bit of research showed the owner's Homestead Land Holdings, which has done developments in Hardin Valley, Canton Hollow Road, and McPhee Road.
And typically, when it's been designated as a planned growth area, talk a little bit about that. That typically means that the infrastructure is in place to support.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Either in place or planned to be in place. So right. Zoom out a little bit to give us a little bit of context of where this one is. This is out Clinton Highway, a good ways from the interstate. This is even north of it's Callahan Drive and then Beaver Creek Drive. It's south of Emory Road. So it's between, it's out a little ways. But if we looked at the details, there's a lot of housing that surrounds this area. So,
and is that a blue line stream? That's something we didn't hit on the Campbell Station.
Yeah. It does have a blue
line streams are something that you should consider, just because Knox County, with the topography challenges, we do see quite a bit of stormwater issues and flooding issues. So that is also something to consider.
Yep. Look at this parcel. It looks like it's got a single family residence on it with a lot of woods in the back. It is awkwardly, it's got a lot of space in the front, but then it narrows in the back. And also certainly want to look at the I found a bug. The aerial view doesn't turn off once you click it, so we are stuck with it now. We can turn on the contour lines, which I am actually going to reload this because that turning that aerial view on was a mistake. While that's rezoning or reloading, we'll go back and look at the PDF. We did Oh, that's right. There's really not a lot in the application besides knowing it's going from medium density residential um, to planned residential. You did ask a great thing about the growth plan. That's a layer again on here, kind of zooming out. The county's divided into three or four areas. Blue here is, and on the side, well, you actually have to, I think, hit the legend button. You can hit show legend and the growth plan. The blue is the urban growth boundary. That's actually where, under some old rules, the city could have annexed out to. The yellow is planned growth area. That's where the county is kind of planning to grow into. So we expect infrastructure to be there, or it should be there. You know, the county should have a plan in place to provide that infrastructure. The rural area is designated for, you know, long-term growth or preservation, parkland, where there's not an expectation. So it's also lower densities and less intensive uses allowed out there. This one is not that far from the urban growth boundary, so it's, you know, fairly urban. I think that's. I think I was interested in this one on the. I think the hillside may have gotten my attention as well. There may have been some slope here.
Let's show the existing density of surrounding neighborhoods.
Okay.
That's also something that, like we said before, decision makers like to look at. Will this align with existing developments?
Yeah. Yep. So there's some on each side. There's some agricultural, so that's going to be 1 acre or less. Right below it is planned residential at 6 units an acre, which is a little bit higher than we're used to seeing. Mm-hmm. And then there's commercial across the street from Clinton Highway. So it's, you know, if we look out big picture again, this is actually located, all the dark, you know, the red and orange ones are, and purple is going to be more commercial, industrial, office type stuff. Green and yellows are the residential uses. So we can see, you know, this it's located near some. On further look at this one, besides being awkwardly shaped and 5 units an acre, the RA, I think, will pencil out to about 3.5, maybe 4 units an acre if you developed it at maximum density. You could carve it out. So this one's not, you know, it kind of meets with what's going on in the south, but it's going to be more intensive than what's on either side.
Right. One question I know that we're asked very often is, you know, when a rezoning request or a sector plan amendment request is submitted, the applicant is not required to provide any sort of preliminary concept plan or use. And sometimes the applicant will, just as a courtesy to citizens, but that's something we hear a lot, that we would really like to know, what is this going to be used for? What will it look like? What types of homes? And that's something where we have ongoing discussions with the current review of the planned residential zoning.
Mm-hmm. Yes. All right. And I think after looking at this a little bit more, this one probably, you know, doesn't, it's just a 10-acre rezoning. That may be why it hit my radar, but it seems like it's generally in harmony with what's going out there, and it's not far from the urban growth boundary. So I'm going to clean up my screen a little bit more. All right, so that then brings us to another one, urban engineering off, this is down off Strawberry Plains. Well, I think the map was most interesting. This is an April filing. That's right. This is what got my attention. And I think it'll be most clear when we look at the case request. So, when we actually pull up that aerial view. Look at this. This is actually, it was a little bit, you know, the requested density got my attention. They're actually requesting 6.4 dwelling units an acre. And this is actually, you know, there's not a lot of county property that's located within the urban growth boundary, but this one is. So it's a little bit unique. It's surrounded by the agricultural zone. So I'll pull those layers up on the maps here. So in the growth plan, we don't see a lot of county property in the urban growth area, but there is a lot out this direction. This is Interstate 40 south of the Holston River, and there's a lot that's designated urban growth that the city could have used to have annexed into under the old annexation laws before they were changed. So this is an interesting area. It's actually not densely developed, but it has the potential to be densely developed. Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's what got my attention here. The zoning, you can see this one is surrounded by a sea of agriculturally zoned property. There is some a little bit on the other side of the road it's actually annexed in the city. RN1 is going to be a city zoning instead of the county zoning. So there is some city limits out along the Strawberry Plains Pike exit. But this is county property. It's surrounded by a sea of ag. So really just the concern here is, they want 6.4 units an acre. The sector plan is the other one. They are requesting, they need a medium density residential sector plan amendment. It's a sea of low density residential. So that will probably be the
request for a sector plan amendment on this one.
It's a related request for a 21 SP. Yeah, and on the case file, it's got it there. So, so this one, I'd called out what changes occurred to justify a sector plan amendment. Suspicion will be that will be the big thing that staff looks at as well. And they may look at it and say, well, low density residential is still the correct plan. And therefore what's, going to planned residential is still allowed, makes some sense out that direction. But, they may adjust what the allowed, recommended density is. So
and oftentimes when we see something unique like this in the urban growth boundary, I think you hinted on this, there's more than just the county to consider. There's oftentimes the city and also the town of Farragut that has those consideration to those planning processes do play a role.
Yes. The last thing that I realized when I looked at this, so this is, I'll take the plan off so you get a really good view of what it looks like. This is simply an open field. It's got great existing tree lines on at least both sides of it, which could be maintained to shield the neighbors. Looks like there's a dirt driveway or a road on the backside that doesn't have anything. But if they do make any development, and certainly and a way to help reduce conflict and make it fit in would be to have a condition that maintains the existing tree lines. So you're going to develop more intensely next to this agricultural property. So perimeter buffers and screening are usually important tools there to help reduce the conflict and friction. So that would be a suggestion.
Talk more a little bit, Kevin, about you mentioned that this could be a condition, and oftentimes the Planning Commission can, within their purview, place conditions on projects, correct?
Correct. Yes. So in the county, a rezoning as well as a use on review and a concept plan. We'll get to those in a little bit, but rezonings can have conditions placed on them that say, we're rezoning to this conditioned on, and then they can put some things in there to try, and it has to be directly related to the rezoning and either mitigating the effects of that rezoning, reducing the impact or making it more compatible with the local neighborhood. But they can put in conditions like requiring a landscaping screen, or a particular portion of that property has to be reserved for non-development, or providing sidewalks or anything like that. The Planning Commission in the county has a lot of control over that. In the city of Knoxville, the most recent zoning ordinance removed conditional zoning or adding conditions. There's an explicit thing that says rezonings cannot have conditions. There's some case law in the state, and I think it's still being, right now it looks like municipalities, so the city can't place conditions, but that case law doesn't yet extend to county. So we'll see how all that goes. But the Planning Commission, when they consider this rezoning, could absolutely place a condition, that it's rezoned to planned residential, conditioned on maintaining the existing, not disturbing the existing trees and providing a landscape buffer on the rear of the property.
Right, great.
Yep, yeah, yep. Also, and we'll get into planned residential and use on review and concept plans because that's kind of a special one. All right, so that's that's kind of our notes on that one. Unfortunately, see, this is a really long agenda, and a lot of them have some points of interest. This is unusual. I think, Kim, this is the longest agenda I've seen in a long time.
It is, yes.
Yep. Oh, that's right. Okay, well, no, this is a different one. This one is going to be really unique when you see the map. This is a request. It's in the city, and it's to go from currently a general neighborhood, a residential zone, to mixed-use industrial. Says the current land use is wholesale. Now, I'm not sure how that comes out. So I looked at this and I wondered what is going on. So what was really important was to zoom out. This is a Hall of Fame Drive, and James, is over here, and we're a little bit northeast of downtown. We're west of the Cherry Street exit, north of Interstate 40, and what I said is, what's happening here? Well, the first thing I pulled up is they need a sector plan and a zoning amendment. So what's the sector plan say? Well, there is a sea of purple heavy industrial that sits between the interstate and the railroad track. And the city's sector plans have all been updated. Well, the zoning was all updated as part of the recode effort a few years ago. I'm not sure when this last sector plan was updated, but this whole area here is for heavy industrial, but you'll see there's this pocket of houses that are in here. And that's what makes this one really interesting.
Yes.
So you've got houses, an island of, a big island of houses located, in the middle of some industrial. So I'm just going to assume and presume that when the interstate was run through here, we knocked, well, I know that a lot of, existing neighborhoods were disrupted and, removed when when Interstate 40 came through. And then the railroad has been there for quite some time. But so you would have had industrial uses, adjacent to the railroad back when that was put in the 1800s. So this is going to be an older section neighborhood, and they want to move this to light industrial. Looking at the zoning more accurately, zoning was refreshed really recently, so it accurately reflects what the underlying use is. So you can see you've got this island of RN4 residential surrounded by general industrial. So this is an interesting one. I don't have a lot of context except to say this will be an interesting one for the staff and the planning commission to chew on.
Do we see any public comments? What do those?
Great question. Yep. Yeah, there's no public comments. The applicant, and we haven't researched the applicant, Terry Harris, and that would certainly. So this one we actually should see. Is there a neighborhood to contact? Which I don't remember. I don't think the. Okay, well, this is a great chance just to quickly bring up. So this is in the city, and the city has a listing of neighborhoods in KGIS. So I just went to the KGIS homepage and clicked the city neighborhoods tab or tab thing. That's bringing up the neighborhoods map. I'm going to bring up if they know of a neighborhood in that area. So we're right here. They don't have a neighborhood identified for that area. We might contact Old North Knoxville as well as the Park Ridge Community Organization and just reach out to them and let them know that that's something happening near them. But I don't know who to contact there locally. All right.
And this is a good time to say that the county is currently building a registry that's similar to the neighborhood registry.
Yeah, so we hope that eventually they'll combine all the data together and we'll actually be able to see it on the map here. That'd be fantastic. All right, there's not much else there except to see if we should try and contact a neighborhood there. I can see this one kind of slipping through. And just, yeah, and one of our things that we try and do at KCPA is simply let people know that this is happening. There's a couple that when I was going through them this week, tried to, already have reached out to some known contacts in those areas. All right, the next one is Commission District 3 up on Beaver Ridge Road. It's Smith-built homes, is rezoning 10 acres from ag to 3 dwelling units an acre. I'm looking at my notes because this one got my attention, and you'll see it. So let's bring, let's bring up the case file right away. So the first thing I noticed, I just went to the item and we pulled up and said, oh, Beaver Creek, is right in the back of this. Okay, well, that's going to be interesting. The request is, it said it's only for a portion of the parcels. So it actually didn't show up right up on the map. This was helpful. I looked at this originally and I saw that this request has it on both sides of Beaver Ridge Road here. I then went back down, and this is something the applicant has put in, that they are only wanting to rezone the west side of Beaver Ridge Road. Okay, so that's helpful. So that'll clarify it a little bit when we put in the map. But again, all we know right now is that they wanted up to 3 dwelling units an acre was their request. So now bring up the mapping tools. And Kim, you're right on. So there's a layer called the FEMA flood zones, and I pulled that one up. I'm going to turn, and that is immediately cause it. You can see on this. My eyeball says at least. So there is first there's a flood zone that's going to be located along the creeks itself. Floodway is a FEMA term, and there's limits of how much you're allowed to fill in a floodway area. I think you can fill 50% of the floodway to try and to build, but there's going to be limits. There's going to be stream buffer requirements as well. And then even then, the darker purple is the FEMA 100-year floodplain. You can see zone AE 1%. It's a 100-year floodplain or flood area. So that looks to me like more than half of this property is already, in the 100-year floodplain, and you have to have floors elevated so high above floodplains, and there's a lot of regulations around flooding that will get triggered here. The other thing is, that then still even that some more is in the 500-year floodplain, and there's still some regulations for that. So this one is going to be a tricky one to develop. Certainly, it depends on how intensely they develop it, but this has the opportunity to actually build. If they brought in a lot of fill dirt for this property, you would give you'd have a decrease in the floodable area that Beaver Creek can have when it has a big flood. So this is a tricky one.
Yeah, and two, something that causes me to pause is that this is identified as planned growth area, but there's also a 100-year floodplain. And so, that just causes me to pause and ask the question, how did we come up with that this should be a planned growth area? I know it's kind of in the middle, but we sometimes see that where you've got a planned growth area, but there are significant causes to pause. And that's really what this does is, we've got that 100-year floodplain that needs to be taken into consideration and how that would affect the project and those living there and those who are already existing residents. Again, we're talking about, disrupting soil and there's always potential for runoff and flooding issues.
Yes. Yep. So this one, what will normally happen in a case like this is the planning staff will contact the Knox County Stormwater Division, and they'll get some information from them. I would expect that there will be some good discussion at the agenda review meeting and then the staff report about the flooding. Also, again, since it's in planned growth, the applicant could have requested 5 units an acre. They've only requested 3. I think that is a recognition that they know they can't, fully and intensely develop this site. And this one, again, this is one of those cases. You know, we have a lot happening here, right here. So if we can find some neighborhood contacts in this general area to let them know, you know, what's going on out in Carnes. They've got some things, you know, where we want the neighbors and, you know, neighborhood associations and such to get in contact with these.
And this is actually District 3, which is.
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Sometimes we reach out to the commissioners and just, you know, say, hey, we noticed something on the planning agenda.
Yes. Yep. Yep. So we should.
Community feedback or input or any concerns, or have you spoken with the applicant?
That's a great point. The county commissioner for District 3 may have some contacts in this area too that they want to alert. So that's when we don't have neighborhood contacts, we should use our county commissioners because they also know their districts. Great point. All right. So that's and then number 16 was Smith-Built Homes. Number 17 is Smith-Built Homes. Another one. This is so this is out Tazewell Pike, past Gibbs, the Gibbs schools. This is you know, I've noticed on this one immediately. You know, it's first thing that popped out to me is it's 76 acres. That's a very large rezoning. The request is to go from ag to planned residential at up to 5 units an acre. And my first observation was, you're looking at the map, I'll show you, this is some of that area is planned growth area, but this is squarely in the rural area. And so the growth plan would limit that to 3 units an acre if they have utilities. It is near the schools and they don't have existing sidewalks going north from the schools. And I also had a question about sewer service. When this is more in my area of the county, so I'm going to be reaching out a little bit. One of the things that, so let me bring up the parcel and the map. So I think this is useful. So Emory Road and Tazewell Pike intersects here. This is the Harbison's Crossroads area down here. There's a Midway IGA, and you know there's a small node of commercial development. I'll bring up the zoning map as well, which kind of show, you know, there's some commercial down there. There's some planned residential. They've been building subdivisions out here, especially they just built the new middle school out in Gibbs, and they've done some work on the elementary. So now you've got just like Hardin Valley, we've got an elementary, a middle, and a high school all, you know, right next to each other. So we've seen some development requests here very recently. I wish I could. I'm going to bring up the planning cases. Don't have an easy way to filter, but you can see there's been a lot of planning cases going on in the last. Yeah, and even just in the last year, there's some more houses going in here. This one over here has been rezoned, and there's going to be another subdivision, and then just north. So there's a lot of housing going in right there, and Tazewell Pike's a 2-lane road. Just penciling out, always good to, you know, get to do simple arithmetic. 76 times, if they got 5, is 380 houses. If they got 3 units an acre, that's 228 homes. I also noticed on this, so you know, we're surrounded, there is a planned residential of 1 unit an acre. That's about the same as you get as ag. And then we're surrounded by ag out here. So it is a change. And then finally, we'll look at the growth plan. I'm trying to take that oversteps the zoning. Growth plan shows you that, and I'll take the zoning off so it's a little easier to see. But you can see there's a finger of planned growth that comes out along Emory Road and kind of covers the, you know, area directly around the Harbison's Crossroads and the schools. But then we switch to, you know, a big sea of rural areas surrounding that. So this parcel is, it's in the rural area. It's kind of on the fringe, but it is. And yeah. Oh, could you say that again? Oops. I hear Kim talking, but my audio's died.
Is this within the PRZ? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, yep. So let me turn the growth plan off. Yeah, I may have had an audio issue there. I apologize. oh, the base map needs to be turned on. Sorry, base map. There we go. So it is just on the edge. It's not in the, it's just on, it's not really, it's just outside the elementary one. The blue for the middle and the red for the high school. So some of this is going to be PRZ. And I think, Kim, we talked about it on the Campbell Station Road, but one of the impacts is if you're in the planned residential zone, if you're in the parental responsibility zone, and there aren't sidewalks to connect your neighborhood to the schools, then there's not bus service there either. So the kids are going to have to be driven to school.
Yes.
So now all of a sudden we are increasing traffic because they have to get to school.
That we typically see that when infrastructure things are put into place, like schools, it affects the market for housing. And so Gibbs Middle School is fairly new. And so we are starting to see more development requests. And, we want to remind everyone that there's more to infrastructure than just schools. And so we have to make sure that we are also providing sewage and utilities and road improvements that would support intentional development.
Yes. Yep. So we've got a lot of. So this one, it's a big change for up there, and also since it's so far out, you look, the connectivity is either down Emory Road a long ways to get to Broadway, or you go down Tazewell Pike, either into Fountain City or down Murphy Road into Washington Pike to get to the interstate. So connectivity and employment is a bit of a challenge. This is one where they're definitely out ahead of probably the infrastructure and transportation and jobs and employment, but they have schools, so that's an issue to look at.
Right.
All right, going on to the next one. Again, we're only through the rezoning. We aren't even through the rezoning. We've got a couple more rezonings left, and then we get to all the use on review and concept plans. So this is a really long agenda. We did our little bit of planning yesterday, and we said we'd need 2 hours, unfortunately. Am I sharing my screen right now? Yes, I am. All right, this is a small one off of Middlebrook Drive. And pull up the map. It's a rezoning from ag to office, and I think that was a little bit unusual. So I looked at the sector plan here is low density residential, and it's surrounded by, it looks like ag, and it might be CA, some commercial. We'll see clear when we see the map. So this one just has my attention a little bit on it. That I'm sorry, it's adjacent to River's Edge West School, and so we have a private school, it looks like, right there. Look at the, we'll just quickly look, sector plan. Yeah, it's low density residential, although it is adjacent to CC, which I can't remember which commercial, I think that's a medium commercial district. And then in the zoning map, we're adjacent to CA, but we've got agricultural on each side, and then we've got some planned residential at 3 units an acre behind it. So there's some next to it, but that kind of got my attention. Other things that just quickly saw. Let me turn the case off. There's a little bit of a stream. Looks like a wet weather stream. Is that faint line going kind of up the driveway access, which they'll have to work their way through. And I believe I also looked at the.
We have some.
Yeah, there's a little bit of hillside grade there, although that could be that ridge actually will shield it from the River's Edge School and then the adjacent property. So that could actually be a benefit as long as they can get access up to it. That one just it caught a flag. It was interesting, although if there's a good plan that's presented, then that might make sense.
Right.
So we'll see. The next one, this one. I'm going to look at the concept plan. There are 3 items, and I imagine Planning Commission will combine them into one discussion. There's 2 rezoning and sector plan amendments under 19 and 22, and then there's a concept plan later under 30. And it took me a while to go through the agenda and realize what's going on. So there's this company called Willbanks owns a lot of property surrounding the UPS distribution center off Callahan Drive. And they're planning to install a new traffic light on Callahan Drive to provide access to all of that. Mm-hmm. For me, this is a really unusual one. I hadn't seen, the reason there are 2 rezonings is part of the properties in the city, part of the properties in the county, and then they want to at the same time so they're trying to normalize their zoning, and then they're trying to put a concept plan in to get a traffic light in. I'm gonna actually have to open this one in a different program because my browser there kind of wigs out when it looks at this.
And that's something too that we always are hopeful that the Planning Commission will consider, is that when there are items on the agenda that are part of a bigger picture, that they actually address those at the same time.
So this one, I'm pulling up the KGIS map just so you can see everything that's going on here. So all of this stuff that's got the hat shading, this is all the property. You have Interstate 75 coming up to Callahan Drive exit. You get off Callahan. This large structure here, this is the UPS distribution facility off Callahan. A lot of UPS trucks that are going around town are going to be coming through that distribution facility. We've then got a lot of parcels there that are being rezoned and concept planned. So we'll took a while to figure out what's happening there, but this is rotated, but here's the UPS store. So they are proposing an access road and a proposed traffic signal on Callahan Drive. And then they're trying to provide access to all this property back here. I don't know, I can't really tell a lot more about this. I think we might reach out to the city and this could be a fairly large development that's coming in. Could be another distribution warehouse for another company or something, because this is big enough for UPS to run their Knoxville operations off of, and then you've got a lot more over here that they need to work with. So that's that one. But that was a lot of items, and it's generally it's all being rezoned to industrial. The other aspect I did see is we are adjacent to some houses, so when they look at the rezoning, there's I think a lot of this is currently vacant land. Actually, I'm going to turn the aerial view on so we can see that. So a lot of what's being proposed to rezone is pasture, field, tree lines next to houses. So they might need to do some buffering as well as part of the rezoning. Also, I had a question about they've got an entrance on Keck Road. Do we want to look at that? So that one might I think we need to reach out a little bit, ask the city, and then maybe put a comment in too about residential neighborhoods. The next one, final rezoning, but it's also tied to a use on review. This one is for the former Cardin's Drive-In restaurant, very popular location for years out on Asheville Highway that closed last year. It's a rezoning to change to OB, which is a medium office district. But the use on review that's been put in place is for recovery housing. So first they need a rezoning to OB. Okay, I'm sorry. I can. That's probably my internet connection. I apologize for that. Is it getting any better?
Yes, that's better. Great.
Okay. Yeah, it's my internet connection. So there's quite a there's some. Anyways, this is Cardin's drive-through. The use on the rezoning wasn't terribly instructive. Office allows you to have allows office and residential and some special uses, which include recovery housing. So this is one of the districts that recovery housing is absolutely allowed in. Mm-hmm. And then there's I pulled up the site plan as well as the application, but this actually has the letter that tells them what they're planning to do. So it's a supportive recovery housing for up to 40 residential clients with 10 to 20 employees. And gives a little bit of the idea of their weekly schedule, and I believe this is being submitted on behalf of Soul Savage Ministries. So that's really the information that we have on that one. But that will I know that will attract some attention on Carter because of how popular Cardin's drive-through was.
Right.
Yep. All right. So now we're moving to the next section of the agenda, which is concept plans and use on reviews. There are, again, several of these this month. The first one was postponed from last month. It's for something called Innsbrook Farms. We discussed it a little bit last month. It's out on Commission District 8, which is East Knox County. It's off of Ruggles Ferry Pike, and it's a large parcel, 201 acres. It's proposed to be divided into 482 proposed lots, which works out to about 2.5 units an acre. This is huge. This is probably the largest single subdivision that's gone in front of Knox County and the Planning Commission. It is unusual. It's currently zoned RA, and I'm going to bring up the case file on the map as well as the site plan. So let me get all that loading up here. It is so they've got a good staff report here that the staff had actually gone through and approved recommended approval of the concept plan. So first of all, let's talk about how and why it got here. This one is already zoned RA, that's low density residential. You can take low density residential land and go ahead and apply immediately for a subdivision. So they are not doing a rezoning. They already have the zoning that they need. They are simply now saying, we want a concept plan that allows us to subdivide this property. So they are compliant with the Knox County subdivision regulations. This is unusual to have this much zoned RA in the county. It was apparently done back in 1988 when Ruggles Ferry Golf Course was put in. They also rezoned this property across the street, that goes up to the river. So that's the history. They don't need a rezoning. They just need a concept plan. As the staff had recommended approval with some technical variations. This is all just vertical curves and road grade things. It brings up some, this is going to, and then they've got, conditions, like connecting to sanitary sewer, and there was a traffic study that's actually included on this. I'll scroll down. So the staff report, which was completed and ready for action last month, was fully fleshed out. So they've got, again, a huge amount of background on this one. KCPA was contacted by neighbors. We gave them a lot of, how this works, how planning process works, how does a hearing work, what do you need to look at, what are, like, how can you just do this without a rezoning? So we provided a lot of, the facts and the process information. We've got a huge, a very detailed plan, which I'm scrolling through. And then they do have it is a big transportation impact study, but as they looked into it, we found that it didn't cover all the routes that residents will probably go. I visited the property in my car, I told my car to take me home, and it routed me through onto some roads that were not, analyzed as part of this transportation impact study. So the community has had several meetings on this property. It is it's very much on their radar, and they started a petition online. That's one good thing to get information out. You can start a petition to ask for things, but it also allows you to communicate changes. So, just kind of zooming in, this is a pretty vanilla concept plan. It's got a boulevard style access, and then immediately goes into just streets and cul-de-sacs and more streets. Notable that there's no sidewalks proposed. So no sidewalks required by the county ordinance for 482 lots.
Yeah, and we are hearing more from planning commissioners is the question of how will this add value back to the community, and how can we provide creative development options to citizens? So those are great questions, and I think it would apply here. I hope that they will ask the question about what are we doing in this design to really add value And I think this is a good example too, to clarify that sometimes terms are loosely used, such as affordable housing. True affordable housing has requirements for eligibility. That is not what this is. Housing that
Yep. So let me, Kim. I've either lost you or I've lost my own connection here. I want to keep going and assume that my wireless is working okay here. Looks like it is.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can, yes, yep. But it might be mine too. I'm on a less reliable wireless connection here. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Kim.
Did you hear what I said?
Some of it, yes. Yep.
So about
about affordable housing and the difference between affordable, what affordable housing that has eligibility requirements is versus when the term is used a little bit differently. And a applicant or a builder will say that it's affordable housing, but it's not one that that meets the government criteria, and affordable housing programs and such.
You can kind of speak to the difference between a traffic impact letter and a traffic impact study. That one is kind of a preliminary, and the other comes about a full study when there are certain requirements that must be met, and it's different.
Yeah, there's actually the commission and has a lot on traffic impact requirements. Sometimes you just need an impact letter, which is a high level assessment. That can be what the current conditions are and such. So it's really like, here's the current status. This transportation impact study, which was required because of the number of units and potential traffic impact, et cetera, for this development. This is much more detailed. This was actually what's called a level 2 study. It is one of the more detailed documents that I've seen. So it was pretty thorough. It recommended some improvements that should be done. Interestingly, at the meeting last month, county engineering and TDOT and the city, there's intersection improvements on Andrew Johnson Highway and Asheville Highway. Signalization they believe is warranted, but the city, county, and TDOT have said that they would not be putting in that signalization. So that's going to be an interesting one to consider if we have a development request that comes in front of commission. The traffic, some of the traffic engineers say, well, the applicant is hired says we need signalization here, and then the local governing bodies decline to put in that signalization. That's going to be an interesting conversation.
And also too, it's interesting to point out that a traffic impact letter really doesn't have to take into consideration other projects or requests that have been approved, but a traffic impact study will take into consideration subsequent approvals.
Yes. Yep. Also, so there's this one. There's been some very detailed community meetings. I think this is probably the one to look at. If you go on to the public comments, there's currently 143 comments.
Wow.
And there will be a lot more, I'm sure, that get submitted. I believe they had a community meeting last week. There'll be probably another one. They might try and get back with the builder. So anyways, the builder postponed it. They did discuss it last month, but the builder did allow for postponement to start working and trying to address some of the community concerns here. So I think this is one that the zoning existed on for a long time. There is certainly a lot of concerns about this is far out in the county. It's a lot of units. There's some employment out there, but not a lot. So it's going to be a lot of traffic that we'll have to get on to go a long ways to get to whether the Carter schools are down in that general area. So that's good. I'll pull up the parental responsibility zone. That's probably the easiest
and
way to see that.
On this case, I know that county commissioners have been involved in discussions, which is always great and encouraged. And two,
Yes.
I don't know if you said this or not, but this is one of, if not the largest single subdivision that's come before Planning Commission.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's definitely one to watch.
Yep, it is. And since it's not going through the planned residential zone process, which has yet another layer of kind of oversight and objectives, this one is going to be a very interesting case. Yeah, and so it definitely has some concerns. The good news is community's very involved, builders involved, planning commission is very intent on it. So this one should get a lot of discussion, and there's lots of ideas being floated on how to make this most compatible and improve and stuff like that. So we're doing well there.
Yes.
All right. So that's Innsbrook Farms, number 24. 26. This is a small one that Smith. So this is use on review and subdivision. This is a small one off of Asheville Highway by Smith Built. There's several cases actually. When the planning cases loads up, looks like a single family here is selling off several parcels they own right along on Asheville Highway. They've got. This is the only one on the plat for this month, but last month they had a couple of other. They had this one over here as well, and I think I recall another one maybe across the street that they'd tried. So going back to this one, just narrow it down. There's a little bit of what really caught me is that this is right behind some commercial property along Asheville Highway. There's a little bit of hillside area, not a lot, but I was kind of surprised. I think the aerial view shows this the best. This is it's right behind it's almost like a semi-abandoned commercial property here. I looked at the street view, and there wasn't much going on there, and it's also adjacent to.
It's not currently.
It doesn't look like. I see cars parked here in this area, but the street view maps don't show anything, so I'm not sure what's currently being done there. It's also adjacent to some high voltage transmission lines as well. This was just a little bit. There's a fair amount of traffic there, so this subdivision will have. It's again right off Asheville Highway. It does have a little bit of a buffer, but I expect Planning Commission might take a little bit of a note on this one. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna again close out more tabs. This is what we do when we do agenda reviews. We open lots of browser tabs.
And again, a reminder: this is what we do every month, and it does take a lot of time and effort. And I appreciate everyone within the Planning Alliance who does take the time and really have the discussions. It's important work.
Yes. Yep. All right. I'm going to bring up maps. This one's got a site plan with it as well, so we'll want to look at that. This is next one, 28, is Ball Homes. It's proposed for 64 lots in Commission District 6, and it looked like there's already some previously built condos and townhomes. Yep, and in a field. So not so the case file just shows the plan. We'll bring this up in a bigger window so you can kind of look at it, and that's actually really illuminating for us. That is actually the plan. I wanted to look at. It is already zoned planned residential up to 5 dwelling units an acre, so there's no rezoning request. This is just use on review and concept plan to put in single family and townhome 64 lots. I'll bring this up in a little bit bigger window here so we can pan and zoom in on it.
I lost you there for a minute, Kevin.
I'm sorry, my internet connection. So this is what they're already looking at. I want to, they say, they've already got prior approval for Planning Commission townhomes on this, and then So then we've got, so that's on one side, and also on the other side, they've got, it looks like townhomes already. So they're requesting 64 lots here in the middle. There's an amenity field already and some common amenity areas. So it looks like they've got, you know, some, I don't know if these 64 lots will have access to it. And just looking briefly at the lots. And anyway, is everybody else able to hear me? Could somebody like just raise their hand or throw something in chat if you can? I'm not sure if we've lost Kim or if we've lost me. Let's see. And
I lost you again. I'm back now.
Hi, Kim.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Joyce says she raised her hand, so I think she can hear me. I think we may be losing you, Kim. I'm not sure if it's you or me. So
yeah, it could be me.
Yeah. Yep. Actually, Joyce, can you unmute and just tell us who do we keep losing so we kind of know what to do?
I can hear both of you most of the time, but occasionally we've lost Kim.
Okay. All right. Okay. Kim, we'll send Lisa out to upgrade your internet connection.
I would love that.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Joyce. Appreciate it. All right. Yeah. So there wasn't. This one is. It's kind of interesting. I haven't seen. We've got townhomes on the edge, and we're going to put single family in the middle. I found this one. And it's right off Emory Road and Henderson Road. I just found this one to be kind of different. That's all.
And you pointed out there is an amenity field.
Yeah, yep. So this one has the opportunity to actually be, kind of a neat little subdivision.
Yeah.
Added in. Yep. So let's see. Next one. I'm going to just close
Howard
out.
Mill.
Howard Mill. Yep.
Yep. And we do. The Northwest Elementary School is coming along through that process, and so we're going to start seeing more requests.
Yep, exactly. So here it shows it right on the map here. This is the proposed, the proposed site for the Northwest Elementary School on Coward Mill, right off Pellissippi Parkway. So we see, we're going to see that one pop. And we've already seen another couple of cases recently in this area, if I remember. Oh,
yes,
covered with.
It will be important for Planning Commission to take in consideration those prior cases and try to maintain consistency and keep all development through there intentional and aligned. And so, and that's why we bring it up, is that, we hope that you will take into consideration previous decisions and make sure that infrastructure is in place, and because we're going to see more requests.
Yes. Yep. And again, this one is already, we're now down to use on review and concept plan. So it's already approved at about 3.8. So they're now really just saying this is our plan. And apparently, again, I'll just pop that open in Adobe, and it's a fairly small piece of property. There's a proposed road going through it. I was kind of interested. They've got a private right-of-way to serve some of these lots off of here. I don't see that very often. So instead of being a public road, it'd be a private road. Fairly straightforward. I can't tell from this, but I will absolutely assume that there are sidewalks going in on this property because it is absolutely adjacent to the school, and the county is about to put in sidewalks along Coward Mill Road. Correct, Kim?
Right. Correct.
Yeah. All right. So. Okay, that's really, that one just was of note to say, right next to the elementary school, and we'll see more like that. All right, I'm going to pull a sleight of hand here because I have forgot to put in my little hyperlink on that. So it's SA21C. If you know the case number and the URL, you can actually make this happen.
Right.
I may actually not have the right. I bet that's F. This is the one for Pebble Pass Lane. If that isn't, I'm going to have to go back to the PDF in a second. Okay, give me 1 second to go find item number 33 on the agenda because I've missed that. Let's see. And this was. It is okay. It's SI is what it is. So we'll change that to I. We'll fix that. And now I've got it set up correctly. So I'll just fix my thing here. All right, now I've made that a little easier to look at. So this is a Pebble Pass Lane coming up. It is off Emory Road. So this is I think this is another one in the Carnes area. It's between Emory Road and Oak Ridge Highway. That's again, where David Harbin is the designer for it, and it's already zoned to PR. So we're really looking at what the site plan is, and then also the map. But the zoning's already. That's a good point. You know, when we're in use on review and concept plan time, we're really just looking at that single parcel. The zoning's already happened. But yeah, so looking at the layers, you know, looking at the parcel to see how it should be designed. There's a little bit of, you know, there's some blue line stream there, but it's not in a FEMA zone. There's I don't recall there being much really in the hillside protection area. It looks like it's reasonably not sloped. But so taking a little bit of time to load up that layer. Yeah, there's a little bit on the back that's in the hillside protection area, but the slope isn't too bad. Little ridge maybe along the driveway.
We typically hear a lot of concern from citizens and residents about West Emory Road and safety concerns. It does tend to have, if you were to pull the runs, the call runs, you will see quite a few accidents that happen on West Emory. And that is something citizens can do. You can actually request those logs of run calls from local emergency agencies to kind of see about safety and crashes and those types of things too.
Yes. Yep. So it's probably the traffic, the intersection design for the entrance will be interesting. And then the other one to me is also for the larger lots parcels, we started looking at how much of this is prime farmland soil. Because that's one of the things that happens when we go from ag to we develop it, is we lose all that prime soil. And there's some concepts of doing conservation subdivisions or things like that. So they've got a lot there. So some of that can be left for agricultural fields. But looking at the proposed development plan, it looks like we are going to have a boulevard style entrance, or not a boulevard, just an entrance. I don't see any sidewalks depicted on this. And also, things that we're looking for at the concept plan. Over here, we can see that one of their roads goes to the border. So they are required, if there's an undeveloped parcel next to it that they could reasonably connect to put a connection in. So they have there. They're obviously connecting into the back there. Looks like they've already got development on the backside, and plus they've got a stream as well, so that would be why they didn't like trying to connect there.
And I think it's important too when we see common areas. I know this is being discussed in the planned residential zoning review. Is that it's very broad as to what falls under common areas, and we would like to see some creative approaches and designations of what is common area and what does that look like. And that goes back to what we mentioned before, that Planning Commission can absolutely encourage the applicant to be more creative and make the development more community friendly and add value with things like pocket parks or little dog parks, or just value added amenities such as maybe a clubhouse and pool and things like that.
Yeah. Yep. And so looking at this one, this common area that's depicted here, it's because of the stream. It looks like there's a stream that flows through, and a pond is my guess. I saw a stream buffer over here, and they continued it through. So that common area is going to be owned by the homeowners association. They'll be responsible for maintenance, but so it's not like it's somebody's side yard that goes down to it. But there's probably no proposed amenity or use. My guess is that'll just be undeveloped forest or open area.
So that means that the common area that's been designated, it really can't be used for much.
Right. Yep. And that's
always important to consider as well, or we hope that that's important.
Could there be like a little greenway section or something like that, walking trail,
And you hit on that. That's something too to consider, that anytime that there's an application, a request, or a concept plan, we do want to look at the greenway, the proposed greenways that might be in the area and the connectivity to those. That's something that we look for.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So noting those questions to ask about that. Thankfully, a lot of the so that takes us through concept plans. Then the last few pieces are uses on review and special uses. There's this one was Commission District 6 off Bob Gray Road, and they're proposing a detached residential subdivision. So they're saying that's how we want to use this property. It's a current, so let's take a quick look. There's so it's currently, that's the sector plan. It's currently zoned business park, technology office, and they're asking for use on review to put in a detached residential subdivision, but don't have a lot of, I'm not 100% sure what's actually happening on this one.
Right. So speak to why is this under use on review, and why is this not a rezoning request first?
Yeah.
And
yes.
What is the sector plan?
Yep. So let's pull up the map, because I actually didn't get that from the it looks like they've got the current let's see, it's not listed. The current zoning is business park technology overlay, so it's business park land, and it's in the technology park as a sector plan. I don't know if I hadn't ever looked to see, can I do a detached residential subdivision in the business park zone? We'd actually have to open up the zoning ordinance and find that out. So this is one where maybe didn't do all the research we need to, but that's fine. All they're requesting is to do a detached residential subdivision, and Knox County's. So we're going to pull up the Knox County zoning ordinance right now.
So say you have the electronic version, and I've already pulled out the paper version, which is something we keep handy when doing this. Is land use classifications, and also the county zoning ordinances or city, or even town of Farragut, so that we can quickly reference those, as well as sector plans. I mean, we have copies of every sector plan. They're all available to anyone online, so they're good to have handy.
Yep. So interesting. So I was looking at the uses for business park, and under uses on review, houses may be permitted by the Planning Commission in accordance of use on review. So they can apparently do houses in there. So so it looks like what they're first doing, this is unusual, there's no concept plan, but first they're saying, can they get approval to do houses? And if they do get approval to do houses, then they'll come back with a concept plan for it. Interesting.
I don't know if I've ever seen this. Yeah,
this is new for me too. It's a different one. I'll speculate that there's not a it would be under the zoning densities limits of the general plan and the growth plan, so they can do up to 5 units an acre afterwards. All right. No requirement for amenities. This isn't planned residential. This is business park. So there are other zoning regulations they have to live under, and they may have to go to the it's under technology overlay, so they may have to get a certificate of appropriateness from the technology corridor development.
And this may cause us to ask the question of, do we need to look at this ordinance more closely and have discussions about what is allowed? So I think that's important to put on our notes, that let's just ask some questions and have some discussion about that zoning and what's allowed, and is it something that we need to encourage a review of? Yes.
Yep. It's interesting. The whole.
And that's something that we do as we do. Are you there?
Yep. Yeah.
I was gonna say, that's just something that we do as we go through the agenda like this. Is that a question that we need to advance forward to have more discussion about, that is a process or an ordinance or a zoning question, not just the specific agenda item, but a much bigger picture.
And I think we can see that there's a lot of property. There was a long rezoning a long time ago along Pellissippi Parkway to put in business park technology overlay, and it seems like that concept is to some extent defunct. There's some business park that's happened along there, but a lot has also just plain redeveloped into residential and along that corridor. So a lot of the formerly designated business park land has been redeveloped over into the planned. You can see all that planned residential and housing in that area. Yeah, so that's an anyways, haven't seen this one before, so it's highlighted because it's different and out of the ordinary.
Right.
For us, yep. But I've closed the map already, but it's adjacent to a bunch of housing right now.
Right.
Yeah. So there's another one. I'm not going to bring up the map, but 8002 Kingston Pike. This one deals with the city zoning ordinance. I know that there's some discussion last month, and then they postponed it. There's some city zoning ordinance, CG1 and CG2, that were put in place along. I'll try and bring the map up. That were put in place. They have to get a use. It's currently, I believe, CG1, and that requires you to get a use on review for drive-through and automotive service type things. So they're going through that process. But there's some discussion that some of the zoning and the actual ordinance may, for the CG1 and CG2 may have been, it may turn out that that's an area they want to recommend ordinance changes to after the latest update.
Right.
Definitely want to watch that one. All those that really participated in the recode process. This is kind of one of those cases where we're seeing, okay, where do we get things right? Where do we kind of not get things right? And also, did we get things right? And now we've got just a push to where development's asking for changes. So. Yep. Yep. Another new one for me. This is in the city at the Emerald Youth, the Sansom Sports Complex on Dale Avenues. I'm going to bring this up, but they are putting in a request to install 70-foot tall light poles instead of the 65-foot tall ones that are allowed according to the new city lighting and zoning ordinance. So their site plan actually contained, there's nothing about, they're talking about how to illuminate this field. They've given their reason for asking for a specialized permission, and I think they actually show where they're going to put the different things and everything. But the interesting thing for me, it's a really big sheet here. Let me. This is one of those going to be better served if I pull it up in Adobe, and it's not pulling up in Adobe. It's not pulling up very quickly for me. Yeah, here we go. Get rid of that, but they had a lot of. It's kind of this is what they're trying to get across, is that a shorter. Let's see, where's the really? Oh, sorry. I will. I promise I'll get this a little bit better. Oh, okay. They're trying to show like a 40-foot tall light pole over here, and if it's aimed at the center of the field, it will spill off more than a 70-foot tall pole. So I kind of can see that. I've got questions about, are they, how are they going to actually, put in controls to, make sure, to cut off that spill, or they just, they've quoted a particular fixture up here, luminaire, and the question is, are they actually going to control that, or are they just going to say, well, we'll put it up higher and we'll try and aim it better, but we're not going to put a block on the sides. So.
And this is an example of, this is a result of the applicant having good dialogue with citizens and hearing their concerns and trying to address those. So this is a great example of really how you can work together in a lot of situations. So.
Yep. That's Emerald Youth. Another one, and this is, we have some folks from Scenic Knoxville that participate in the Planning Alliance, is there's a master sign plan for East Tennessee Children's Hospital. So the recode and sign ordinance, you have to have you can have a master sign plan. So that's this is a little bit different, but they have to go through and say where they're going to put all their different signs, and you can see their campus and where they're indicating their different sign types, and then they've it's really thorough, where they just show this the sizes and all that. I went through this document and I was like, this is really, really great. I'm personally excited, to see, some of them are internally illuminated. I might ask, what the illumination level would be. You wouldn't want that to be blinding bright. And then external, they've got a little children's hospital. I think I saw somewhere that these are this is internally illuminated with mounted channel lettering. And they kind of are depicting it. So anyways, it's a neat thing, to see the sign package. Those that are interested in signs may take a look at this and have some feedback on it. But made sure I let Scenic Knoxville looks at the signs a lot, so I've let them know about that one.
Right.
The last one that got my attention is over on the river. All there is a map. There's not it's a final subdivision. Oh, I've emailed. So this one I emailed. It's a final plat. They apparently don't have to do use on review or concept plan or anything. And there's sometimes, if the lots are big enough, or if there's some regulations where you don't have to file a concept plan. So they've apparently can just file a plat. Oh, it's only 1 acre that they're theoretically platting. I'm not sure if that's right, but okay, it's only this one little piece. But my understanding is that River Islands Golf Course is, which actually I'll bring up the aerial view, is in the French Broad River, this old one here. But I believe it's been sold and is now being developed out, and somebody is platting off a small portion, it looks like, off the side, or maybe they're including that into the larger golf course. So anyways, that was one that was a little unusual. So, and I know that there's some development activity, so I want to make sure we kind of track that.
Right.
All right. Well, that is it for our agenda. It's a really long one this month.
It is, yes.
And there's going to be a lot of comments and a lot of issues. And there are some, not only is it just a lot of item numbers, but there's going to be some that have just significant community involvement. As an example, we know that the Home Federal one has hundreds of people involved in this one, and lots and lots of attention and press coverage. Campbell Station, it's the number 9 Ball Homes, has a lot on it.
Yes.
There'll be discussion because this one's a little bit strange, the urban engineering one, the medium density residential. So that's going to take discussion time. I'm not sure if not the one on Beaver Ridge Road, that might have some discussion. Yeah, that will have discussion because that's got floodplain, and there's a lot of concern out there about that in traffic. This one, 76 acres on Tazewell Pike, where they're requesting more than planned resident, or in the rural area allows, will also have a lot of discussion. I'm not sure the Callahan Road one will have a lot. We'll see. Imagine recovery housing tends to be a hot topic. So number 21/36 for the former Cardin's drive-through will have one. We know the Innsbrook Farms is going to have a huge amount of discussion. And then let's see, we have, I'm not sure if any of the others will have, a huge amount. There might be, but these special uses will take some time, and the master sign plan may take some time. So I think there's going to be a lot that, so the Planning Commission has their consent agenda, which is the ones that they can just pass with a single vote. I think they're going to have a lot of items that aren't on the consent that they have to have discussion on this month. So it's going to be a really, really long meeting.
Well, and that concludes kind of what we do every month, is looking at the preliminary agenda, and we've got our to-do list and our action items and things that we will do in the next couple of days and next week, and trying to connect people and again, if, encourage citizens to become engaged and follow this stuff like we do, and
Yeah.
help them any way we can. We just want to be a resource, and that's really how we're set up, is to be a resource and just share what we've learned and our experiences, and hopefully, help other citizens understand the process, and also, the county, city, town of Farragut, the government capabilities and jurisdictions and things that come into play. So this was a long one, and Kevin, as always, you did a brilliant job in walking us through it, and we can't thank you enough.
Yeah,
And just to note that this will be posted on our website. Are we going to share it on our Facebook page, which is
yes.
live? We have a public Facebook page that we encourage everyone to check out. And if you have any questions, please send us those questions, and we'll see you next month, right?
Yep. And I just for next steps. So we've all seen the preliminary agenda. I don't want to pull this up so that everybody's aware. So this is a great time to submit public comments. Contact the staff to ask additional information on items. Finally, the final agenda will come out the Friday before the Planning Commission meeting. And look, that's April the 2nd, and it's also Good Friday this year, so it may be Thursday, April 1st when it comes out. On Tuesday, April 6th, Planning Commission will actually have their agenda review meeting. Looks like it's going to be a telemeeting this month at 11:30. That's for planning commissioners only. The applicants and community don't speak at that one. We can watch it and kind of learn what's on their minds. But that's only it finishes, and they've only got 48 hours till the planning commission meeting. So that's really, there's a lot that goes on at that planning commission agenda review meeting. If there's an item on here that you're interested in, what I strongly suggest you do is A, submit comments on it. B, go ahead and sign up with the request to speak form. I believe requests to speak are supposed to be it says 9 a.m. the morning of the meeting. I think they want it in sooner than that. The other thing is, I think on submitting comments, they really want them in no later than 3 p.m. on Wednesday before the meeting. But I highly, highly recommend that you get them in. If you can get them in, if you have something that you want to say, send it in before that final agenda comes out on Friday the 2nd or Thursday the 1st. Comments usually only, they don't get approved over the weekends. They do. So when you submit something, staff has to approve it, and then it gets sent out and it gets posted. They really do that about twice a day, morning and evening, and that's weekdays. So if you submit a comment in Friday night or Saturday morning, it probably won't get distributed and posted until Monday morning. So highly, there's a ton of comments that come in. Get those comments in earlier, the better.
Right.
You can always submit a second comment with follow up later, but if you got some initial comments and concerns and thoughts and questions and suggestions, get them in now. That's why we're doing this meeting now. Is if you wait until after the agenda review meeting, that is when you really get the most. You've got the most information and context. But if you haven't done your own homework and reached out, you're going to have very little time to react, contact, influence, and think. In that little 48 hours.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
So
all right. All right. Well,
everyone for joining us.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.